Chicago is on fire right now. The star wideout who had this city buzzing for 3 straight seasons just got shipped out, and the town is not over it. But before that pain eats you alive, hear this out. A wrecking ball linebacker just signed for $30 million and is promising to terrorize opposing quarterbacks. And there is more. A quiet special team signing is blowing up the dream of one of our own Warriors. 3 bombs, 1 simple truth. The Bears are not done yet. Hit that subscribe button because what is coming next is going to blow your mind. Bear down. News 1, DJ Moore. Look at what just went down in this league and tell me this does not make your stomach turn a little. DJ Moore, the receiver who ran every route with heart and navy and orange in the veins for 3 full seasons, just got traded to the Buffalo Bills. This is not some Twitter rumor. This is not some insider clout chasing. This is official, signed, stamped, delivered. Ryan Poles made the call, pulled the trigger, and now Chicago has to sit with it. Here's the thing. It is totally understandable why this move hurts so much. Because DJ Moore was not just a Bears receiver. DJ Moore was the sign that something was finally changing in this franchise. DJ was that type of player who showed up in the biggest moments when Soldier Field went dead quiet and somebody needed to step up and say, I got this. 3 full seasons, 17 games played in each one, not a single game missed. That tells you everything about that person's makeup. 3,012 receiving yards in Chicago, 22 touchdowns. And that touchdown that took home the next-gen stats moment of the year in 2025, that person gave everything to this city. But if we stay stuck in the feelings, we miss the point of the whole analysis. This is the NFL, a league where business rules everything, always, no exceptions. Ryan Poles said it straight up. Even though that move did not sit well at home, ask yourself this: how many general managers have the guts to make a move this unpopular, knowing somebody at the dinner table is going to be looking sideways? Poles did it because that front office saw the whole board, and the big picture Poles saw is this: Moore was locked into a 4-year, $110 million deal, an extension Poles signed less than 2 years ago. That is a massive contract for a position that suddenly got deep, really deep on this Bears roster. Walk through it with me. Rome Odunze is right there. Yeah, the injuries piled up last season, but nobody in the NFL is questioning that kid's talent. That is a true number 1 receiver who has not fully exploded yet because the situation has not lined up. But here comes the 2026 season, and Odunze is going to be healthy, starving, and ready to prove that Chicago was right calling that name on draft day. Then comes Luther Burden. That is the name that really explains this Moore trade. Luther Burden was one of the biggest surprises of last season. Poles admitted it in the press conference. That front office did not expect Burden to still be on the board where the Bears were picking. And when the card fell in their lap, they did not even blink. And that kid delivered every time that person touched the ball. Something wild went down on the field. That is the kind of player you cannot keep buried on the bench while paying another receiver $10 million more than you can realistically afford. And do not forget Colston Loveland. The tight end Poles specifically mentioned as part of the equation. Loveland is basically a receiver wearing a tight end label, the kind of player who warps defenses and opens lanes for everybody else. When you can roll out Loveland, Odunze, and Burden at the same time, be honest, where does that leave a huge DJ Moore contract fitting into the puzzle? Now flip it to Buffalo's side. The Bills landed Moore via trade and also picked up a 5th-round pick in the 2026 draft. Chicago got a 2nd-rounder back. That is solid value. A 2nd-round pick is real currency in this league, especially for a team that is still building a roster around young, ascending talent. Poles played that negotiation table like a pro. And that has to be acknowledged, even if the breakup stings. Moore handled all of it with straight-up maturity. There was no whining, no subtweeting, no tantrums on the sideline. Moore understood the business. Said the time in Chicago ran its course and ended on a great note. That says a lot about that person's character. And in Buffalo, there is quarterback Josh Allen waiting with open arms. Allen reached out personally, sending messages to say how fired up that locker room is. On top of that, Moore already knows Bills head coach Joe Brady from their Carolina days in 2020 and 2021, when Moore went over 1,100 receiving yards in both seasons with Brady calling the offense. Moore is probably going to have a monster season with the Bills, and yeah, that is going to hurt a bit, no point lying. Watching DJ Moore running routes for Josh Allen in red, blue, and white instead of navy and orange is going to be a punch in the gut for Bears fans. But here's the other side. If Poles is right, if Odunze stays healthy and finally blows up, if Burden keeps being that special player we saw last year, and if Loveland becomes a force at tight end, then this Bears offense could actually be more dangerous than it was last season. And last season, they went 11-6 and made it to the NFC divisional round. That is not small-time stuff. Chicago, the question that should be bouncing around in every Bears fan's head is this: is Rome Odunze going to be available and at 100% for the 2026 season? Because if the answer is yes, that the DJ Moore trade is going to end up looking like one of Ryan Poles' smartest calls. If Odunze's body keeps breaking down, Chicago is going to feel Moore's absence way more than anyone wants to admit right now. Moore's goodbye message on Instagram was clear, heartfelt, and full of gratitude for this city. Here's the idea of what was written: Chicago, thank you for all the love and support over the last 3 years. My family was proud to call this place home, and this community has been incredible to us. That is how DJ Moore looks at Chicago, and Chicago is always going to have love for DJ Moore, but now it is time to look ahead. The DJ Moore chapter in Chicago is closed, and what comes next can be just as electric if the young players answer the call. The baton is already on the field. Those players just need to step onto the stage and prove they can carry that weight. If that already lit up a bunch of thoughts in your head, wait for what is next. Because while Chicago was still trying to process Moore's exit, the front office was already moving in free agency with a signing that brings back the spirit of the monsters of the Midway. And this one really has me fired up because it goes right at the biggest spot this team needs to level up. Do not go anywhere. News 2, Devin Bush. If anybody thought Ryan Poles was done making noise in this free agency window, they read the situation completely wrong, because while the city was still trying to swallow the DJ Moore move, Poles went hunting with the cap room that just opened up and closed a deal that has Soldier Field buzzing. The Bears are signing linebacker Devin Bush from the Cleveland Browns on a 3-year, $30 million contract with $21 million guaranteed. $30 million, let that number stick in your head for a second. This is not a depth signing. This is not Poles grabbing a body just to plug a hole and check a box. Devin Bush is exactly the type of linebacker this defense needs to jump from solid to straight-up elite. The numbers backing this person up speak loud enough. Last season in Cleveland, Devin Bush put together the best year of that pro career. 125 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions. 2 of those taken to the house for touchdowns, 8 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 2 sacks, and 4 quarterback hits, 17 starts. That is not some run-of-the-mill linebacker. That is a linebacker who just proved last year that it is possible to dominate every phase of the defensive game. The part that really jumps out is not just Bush's speed, even though that speed alone is a lethal weapon. What really stands out is that knack for making impact, plays when it matters most. 2 pick sixes in 1 season. That is the type of production that flips games, steals momentum, and makes an entire stadium erupt. How long have Bears fans been begging for a linebacker who does not just get stops but straight up rips games away from opponents? Now put this into the context of Chicago's defense. The Bears just cut Tremaine Edmunds last week, a move that freed up $15 million in cap space. That decision was strategic, calculated, and absolutely necessary. Edmunds was a solid player, no question, but the production did not match the paycheck at a time when Poles has to invest every dollar wisely around Caleb Williams. With that money free, Poles went straight to the market and found Bush as the ideal replacement. The math here is simple but smart. You cut Edmunds, free up $15 million, then you sign Bush for $30 million total spread out over 3 years. On top of that, before the legal tampering period even opened, the Bears had already re-signed DeMarco Jackson on a 2-year deal to keep continuity in the linebacker room. Poles is building this defense with patience, vision, and discipline. That is exactly what this franchise needed after years of reactionary, short-sighted moves. This city is built on defensive tradition. The Bears are not the Bears without a defense that puts fear in people. Think about the 85 monsters of the Midway. Think about Brian Urlacher. Think about Lance Briggs. Think about Khalil Mack when that trade went down, and for 2 seasons that unit did everything. The identity of this franchise is built on defensive intimidation. Devin Bush has all the tools to become the vocal and physical leader of that group. Let me throw this at you. Do the Green Bay Packers have a linebacker who regularly takes interceptions back for touchdowns like that? Do the Minnesota Vikings have somebody with that kind of speed and instinct in the middle of their defense? The Detroit Lions are still trying to figure out consistency in their backer room, and here is Chicago signing the person who just had a career year. That tells me Ryan Poles understands the NFC North better than anybody and knows exactly where to hit so the Bears stay on top of the division. Devin Bush in a Matt Eberflus defensive scheme that is tailored to Bush's strengths. With that speed and that ability to read plays like in Cleveland is going to be a nightmare for offensive coordinators. Centers around the league are going to be grinding tape of Bush and feeling that knot in the stomach. That is exactly what this city wants. That is exactly what Chicago needs. There is another piece to this signing that not enough people are talking about. Bush brings experience playing in tough, unstable environments. Cleveland is not a franchise that hands you everything on a silver platter. It is an organization that has gone through a lot of transition where players have to find their own drive. The fact that Bush had a career year in that context tells you this person is a pure competitor. When Bush walks into Soldier Field with Chicago's fan base behind that defense and the positive pressure of a team coming off an 11-win season, there is a good chance the league is about to see an even better version of Devin Bush. The Bush signing plus, bringing back DeMarco Jackson, gives Chicago a linebacker room with size, speed, and real experience. And that, Bears fans, is exactly what is needed if this team wants to go further than the divisional round in 2026. Last year, the Rams knocked Chicago out 20-17. That one still stings. This defense Poles is building right now is built so that does not happen again, but that is not the only thing that has gone down in Chicago at the start of free agency. There is a third move that might look small on paper, but it has very real consequences for one of the most respected grinders on this roster. A quiet arrival is threatening the future of a warrior who earned everything with hard work and dedication. And this next part has me a little worried. To be honest, do not go anywhere. News 3, Khalif Raymond, Josh Blackwell. There are free agency moves that come with fireworks, and there are moves that sneak in through the back door without much noise. This last category is exactly where the Khalif Raymond signing with the Chicago Bears lands. And let me be blunt, even if this looks like a minor move compared to everything else that has gone down this week, the ripple effects are very real for one specific player on this roster. That player is Josh Blackwell. First, let's talk about who Khalif Raymond is and why Poles decided to bring that skill set to Chicago. Raymond comes straight from the Detroit Lions, a division rival, which already gives this move a little extra flavor. That person spent the last 5 years in Detroit and stacked up serious credentials on special teams. 1,485 punt return yards with the Lions, 252 kickoff return yards, 3 touchdowns, and the line on the resume that carries the most weight, 2 second-team All-Pro honors as a special teamer. You do not get those by accident. You get those when you are consistently one of the best at your job for an entire season. Poles signed Raymond primarily for special teams, even though that receiver can have a role as a gadget weapon in Caleb Williams' offense. The real reason for the signing is what happens when the ball is in the air and somebody has to bring it back toward the end zone. Special teams coordinator Richard Hightower needed exactly that kind of reliability at returner. That is where Josh Blackwell comes in, and this is where the move gets tough emotionally for a lot of Bears fans who followed last season closely. Blackwell arrived in Chicago as an undrafted free agent from the Philadelphia Eagles in 2022. Early on, Blackwell logged defensive snaps, 256 of them between 2022 and 2024, but last season turned into a full-time special teamer, playing 71% of the special team snaps, 284 total. In that expanded role, Blackwell delivered 18 kickoff returns, the most of that career, turning those into 455 yards with an average of 25.3 yards per return. Those numbers are not bad at all. That stat line gives you hope. It tells you this player is improving and taking advantage of every single snap. On top of that, the Bears' main returner, Devin Duvernay, hit the end of the contract and walked into free agency this week, which in theory opened a huge door for Blackwell to claim that job for good. Instead of that door staying wide open, Caliph Raymond just stepped in and blocked the path. That is the NFL for you, brutally honest and completely cold. The business does not wait, and open jobs get filled by whoever convinces the organization the most at that exact moment. Is this the end of Josh Blackwell in Chicago? Not necessarily, but it is a clear signal that the role is going to be more limited than expected after the season Blackwell just had. Raymond brings 5 years of experience and 2 All-Pro nods. That carries more weight in coaches' minds than 18 returns from a player still trying to lock down a long-term spot in the league. That is the reality, even if it is tough to swallow. There are still things working in Blackwell's favor. First, Raymond will probably be the primary kickoff returner based on track record, but punt returns are a separate category where Blackwell can still stay in the mix. Second, after several defensive backs left the Bears in this free agency period, including Nahshon Wright, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kevin Byard, and Jaquan Brisker, there are snaps opening up in the secondary. Blackwell can chase those to stay relevant on the roster. At 26 years old, with the ability to help both on defense and on special teams, there is real value there. The third factor is the relationship between Blackwell and special teams coordinator Richard Hightower. Both arrived in Chicago in the summer of 2022. Hightower knows Blackwell, trusts Blackwell, and understands exactly what that player can do. That kind of trust does not just disappear overnight because a new face walks in. If Blackwell attacks training camp, shows up locked in, and proves there is room for both pieces in a high-level special teams unit, there is space for the two of them to contribute. But this is the key point every Bears fan needs to understand. The burden of proof is on Blackwell now. It has to be proven that a roster spot is deserved with Raymond in the building. That is not easy. Raymond is a veteran who knows the job inside out and arrives with the reputation of being one of the best at it. Blackwell has to be better, or at least different and versatile enough that the staff sees unique value in having both. The Bears' special team situation in 2026 is going to be one of the most interesting side stories to track in camp. Raymond versus Blackwell for those return reps and snaps. Hightower's final call is going to shape not only Blackwell's future in Chicago, but also the type of organization this front office wants to be when it comes to rewarding the growth and loyalty of players who came from nowhere and fought their way into the roster. Raymond arriving from Detroit also carries that extra NFC North flavor. POLES just took one of the Lions' best special teamers. Even though special teams does not always grab headlines, that is a statement move. Chicago wants to be better than Detroit in every phase, and if that means poaching their guys to get there, so be it. Bear down. Listen up before you head out, because there is something important that needs to be asked after everything covered today. First, DJ Moore heading to the Buffalo Bills. It is time to hear what you all think about that decision. Drop your answer straight in the comments. Do you believe Ryan Poles made the right call trading DJ Moore to open up space for Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, and Colston Loveland? Or do you think this is a mistake Chicago is going to regret once Moore starts lighting it up with Josh Allen's Bills? Do not hold back. Say what you really feel. This is your home. Every opinion matters here. Second, the Devin Bush signing. This linebacker is coming off the best numbers of that career, and there is a strong case that Bush can become the heart of the Bears defense in 2026. But the comments are open for this. Does Devin Bush have what it takes to be the franchise linebacker this defense has been missing since Roquan Smith left? That is the million-dollar question, and those answers need to be down below. Third, the Caliph Raymond and Josh Blackwell situation. This is fascinating because there is a grinder who earned everything the hard way and is now staring straight at the brutal reality of the NFL. Do you give Josh Blackwell a real shot to stick on the Bears roster in the 2026 season? Or do you think Raymond pushes Blackwell all the way out and that spot has to be earned somewhere else? This channel is about exactly this. We are not here just to repeat headlines. The point is to break things down, argue it out, and be the voice of Chicago fans who take this team seriously. To do that the right way, You are needed here with us. If you still have not subscribed, now is the time. Hit that button right now. Do not leave it for later, because later does not exist. In the world of Bears football, this is a family. A family that hurts together when the Bears lose, celebrates together when they win, and debates every move this front office makes with passion and respect. You are part of that family. Hit like on this video if you believe Poles is building something real and special in Chicago. Subscribe if you want to be the first to know every piece of news, every signing, every trade, and every move that shakes up the Bears. Turn the bell on because the news is not going to stop and you cannot afford to fall behind. This is Miguel Morales, your voice in the world of the Chicago Bears. See you in the next video. Bear down, Chicago. Bear down always.